Cryptocurrencies have only been around for 9 years, but in that short space of time have begun to dominate talk around the foreign exchange markets. But will Bitcoin lose its dominance? Let's take a look now into some more detail with price comparison website finder.com. It's asked a panel of commentators to come up with some of the possible winners in 2018. Fred Schebesta is chief executive of finder.com. Fred, welcome. First of all, your research, just explain where you've got this research from.
Yeah, so we've taken four experts with deep knowledge in the cryptocurrency market. So we study things like the code base, the teams and their roadmap as to where they're going. We look at things like what they've promised and where they're actually delivering on, other competitive things and forces in their space as well. Things like, does this actually have an actual purpose? Is there going to be a delivery on the white paper? And all sorts of other considerations. And then we basically make a forecast based on that. Yeah.
Now, on finder.com, I know that viewers can get up-to-date research on this, on your crypto tag at the top of the website. But I want to run through very briefly some of the names that people will know. Bitcoin. Let's start with Bitcoin. Now, it is the original, to my mind, it's the original one. I think you could correct me on that, but I think it is. There's now thousands of cryptos around. That's correct, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
So where does Bitcoin stand now, in your view, as to where we look from here back out to the back end of this year?
Yeah, so I guess in terms of price forecasts, we're looking at, I guess, in February around at $16,500 US dollars. That is.
Okay.
And that could
at the time of the interview, I think we're trading 11,500. So we've got an improvement of 4,000 on that.
Yes, about that. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor, and please don't take my advice. But at the end of the day, these are our opinions.
Yeah.
And don't obviously seek your own financial advice. Sure. I think we're going to continue on our path of logarithmic price increases over time.
Why?
So there's a limited supply of Bitcoin, and there's an algorithm, a true thesis that they're delivering on. And over time, what I think is that Bitcoin is like gold. It's not, if you look at it as a currency, that's one thing. I don't think that's a currency. I think it's gold. And gold's very hard to move around. But it's a very immutable thing that humans know how to store value in. And what my submission to you, and I guess to everyone watching here today, is basically think of it like gold, and then think of, like, say, Ethereum like a big supercomputer. There are all these programs that run on it, and you're basically powering that computer to run. And I think Ethereum's got a long way to run as well.
Okay. Do you want to get back to Bitcoin very quickly?
Yes.
It's the original one. It sounds, compared to some of the others, Ripple and Litecoin and so forth, that it's clunky, it's difficult to get in, difficult to get out. We're hearing a lot of stories about fraud. Hasn't Bitcoin had its day?
I think Bitcoin's just coming into its day. It's just because it's just come onto the scene. It's been 9 years going. So these things have already happened. Major exchanges have crashed. Lots of people have lost their money. But Bitcoin keeps going on. And that's the resilience of Bitcoin. It's not going away. This is just the beginning.
You talk about the 8-page document that outlined where Bitcoin was, what it was, and how it was going to operate. Do we consider in that the forks we've had, the fact we've now got Bitcoin Gold, we've got Bitcoin Cash?
Yep.
I mean, that wasn't originally.
Bitcoin Diamond, Bitcoin, yeah. So those are deviations from the core thesis.
Right.
And so that goes again to prove that Bitcoin's going to deliver on its core mission. That's a very controversial thing to say. I can't really comment about Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Diamond and where all those things are going, because they are deviations from the core of Bitcoin.
So they could go by the wayside?
Potentially they could.
Okay, all right, fine. Let's take a look at some of the other coins that we're familiar with.
Yes.
Ethereum.
Yes.
Easier, cheaper, quicker to run?
I guess it used to be very cheap, but it's becoming obviously more expensive. But it's
in terms of the price, it is. But it isn't Ethereum better than Bitcoin because it's frictionless, isn't it? Or it's less friction.
It has the same. I would say it has similar friction right now, and it can process. So Bitcoin can process about 1, say, to 2 transactions a second. Ethereum can do up to about, say, 24 transactions a second. Now, obviously, the Visa network does about 24,000 transactions in a second. Sorry, I was going to say, so Ethereum does 24 transactions in a second, but Visa does 24,000 in a second. So there's a long way to go to get to the Visa network or a currency payment like that.
Sure, yeah.
Ethereum's like a supercomputer, right? So what happens is you spend Ether to power these programs that sit on Ethereum. And all these amazing technologies are being built. Lending platforms, peer-to-peer trading, gaming, tokenization of all sorts of materials are being put on the Ethereum platform. So think of that like an operating system, a big supercomputer. AI is going to be built on that. It's incredible what's going to happen there. That's just the beginning again of something you're seeing.
Yeah, going back to your opinion and the board, the board opinion on price, how does Bitcoin compare to Ethereum by the end of the year?
Yeah, so they call it the flippening, when Ethereum will actually flip and be higher than Bitcoin.
In terms of dollar-to-dollar value?
Correct, yeah.
And that's going to happen this year?
I don't think it'll happen this year, no.
Okay.
I think Ethereum's still got a lot of things to sort out. There's some incredible coding team behind that. They're doing some amazing things. They've got a great leader. I think if Bitcoin can obviously roll out this Lightning Network, which it has, and it's starting to show signs of more usage. It's got rootstock to compete with Ethereum. Again, these are all applications that add to the core. And what it does as well, is really important, is with these new additions, it'll actually basically take the value away from these other coins, which are trying to solve these problems with Bitcoin. But Bitcoin and Ethereum are trying to solve their own problems as well. They're not just lying down. And those evolutions, I think, again, brings it back to these two core coins and cryptocurrencies. And I guess high level, that's why I'm quite bullish on Bitcoin and on Ethereum.
So by the end of the year, in your opinion, where could we see this? Multiples of where we are?
I'm gonna put it out there. I think you could see Bitcoin at around 50,000 US dollars.
Right.
I think you could see Ethereum around 5,000.
Okay, fine. So go back to this. All this research is on your website. What about Ripple? We're hearing a lot about Ripple. We haven't discussed Litecoin yet. There's so many more to discuss. What about Ripple, though?
So Ripple's promise is a bank-to-bank transfer. It's centralized. Bitcoin's decentralized. And Ripple's a great company. They're doing amazing things. They're a good team. They're actually well run. My only challenge, I guess, with Ripple is it's unproven. Not as that many banks have taken it up. Not that many institutions have taken it up yet. It's still unproven. I've actually adjusted my forecast on that. And I'm a little more bearish on that. Not as bullish anymore. And the reason for that is I'm worried about adoption, and I'm worried about these other coins, basically like Bitcoin and Ethereum, solving what Ripple's doing, and then kind of making it a little obsolete. I think they're going to find a use case eventually, and so I'm forecasting potentially a price decrease, and then maybe later in the year, when they find something they're going to do, with a price increase.
Yeah. Okay. And we quickly run through the others that you've got on your list here: Verge, Stellar Lumens, Cardano, Litecoin. What are your other picks? Very quickly.
Very quickly, I like Litecoin. I think it's like the silver if Bitcoin's gold. I'm not very bullish. I'm not a big fan of Verge, unfortunately. I don't know a lot about them. I think they're an identity coin, but I'm not sure. Stellar, I guess, competes slightly with Ripple, but it's an off-chain, a decentralized network. And I think Stellar's got a lot of promise. It's got Microsoft involved with it. I'm actually very interested in Stellar right now. I'm looking at it myself. It's still unproven again, but I think they've got their roadmap coming out tomorrow, which will be very, very interesting to look at. I would be looking at that if I was you. I think Cardano is a great vision, a great supercomputer again, although again unproven. So I'm a little bit worried about that. I think, as I said, Litecoin, a great thing. Bitcoin Cash, I can't really comment on because I'm not sure exactly. It's a fork of Bitcoin, but and that's a very controversial topic. But it's not something which I wouldn't.
Of course, the whole thing is very much in its infancy, but Fred, thanks indeed for joining us. Fred Schebesta is the Chief Executive of Finder.com, and as I said, you can look to see more details on this analysis on that website. Subscribe to IG for educational content, company insight, financial analysis and expert commentary.